Okay, guys. Obviously, we put a couple guys on IR. Higbee got his ankle rolled up on bad, and so it's going to be a little bit of time, but we do expect him to be able to make a return. Rob is really, you talk about Higbee, Rob, and Quentin Lake, all guys that are going on IR, big losses for us. Quentin Lake had elbow surgery yesterday, ended up dislocating his elbow. Everything went really well. There still is some optimism that he could return this year. Same thing with Higbee. And then, Rob Havenstein, he's as tough as it gets. He's been battling, been pushing through his ankle, his knee. He had been kind of sore, and there had been some things going on. And so being able to talk to him, I think the best case and the best approach is going to be able to give him some time, see if we can end up, turning the corner and allowing him to be able to feel like he's capable of. And we'll have hope and optimism that all those guys will return at some point. And the soonest that they'd be able to return with, Rob and Higbee would be, with 3 games remaining in the season. And we'll kind of monitor what Q Lake's status will be. As far as today's concerned, Xavier Smith got the concussion the other day. He's doing better, but he's not quite where we want him to be yet. So he'll be a DNP. Everybody else should be good.
With Rob, just kind of when did that happen in the game?
It's been something that he's been dealing with, Adam. I mean, he like I said, he's as tough as it gets. And, you look at when he missed some time earlier in the season, he comes back. I thought he played, really well. And then you could see it just progressively started irritating him more and more, and really limited his ability to be able to function the way that he's capable of playing. And when you're, doing the things that are asked of that position, particularly up front, sometimes it's one of those deals that you have to do right by the players. When you talk about a guy like him, he'll continue to push, battle, he'll fall on the sword. And, I think our job is to be able to sometimes protect these really tough, guys, from themselves, and then to be able to, take that information that I'm getting from Reggie, from the totality of it all. He ended up getting kind of like a bursitis where his knee's swollen too. And so, there's nobody that would push through more than him. And sometimes you have to be able to protect these guys from themselves. But he's such a phenomenal leader for us. He'll do such a great job in the meantime of uplifting and elevating the group just like he's done. And then we'll look forward to being able to get him back when he's feeling better and capable of playing the way that we're accustomed to seeing Rob play.
Rob and Quentin are all such big all-the-way guys for you guys.
Totally.
Like, how do you kind of deal with that
loss
on the field?
No doubt. Well, number one, those guys are going to be here. They're going to continue to, uplift and elevate those guys. There is a lot of guys that we have confidence in. You don't replace players like that. You don't expect others to be able to do that. You expect the guys that are getting opportunities to step up to be the best versions of themselves. And, this is something that you deal with, and it's unfortunate. It's one of my least favorite parts of this business. You watch the amount of work, time, and effort that goes into preparing, and then, how precious these opportunities are to be able to get these games and to be able to go compete with, teammates that they love and care about. And so they'll still be here. They'll still be able to affect and influence things in a positive way. And even though I know all 3 of those guys would be chomping at the bit to be out there, they're everything that's right about this place, and they'll contribute in their own ways. And, you're not going to run away from those are tough losses. But you look around this league, and, we've had to deal with things like this before. And there is a lot of confidence from the guys that have been asked to do different things that'll be elevated, to be able to go deliver and play to the best of their ability, not try to be Q, not try to be Rob, not try to be Higgs, but be the best versions of themselves. And that's what we'll do.
Rob's case, I imagine that player is probably Warren McClendon.
It is.
How much of a luxury is it having somebody like that you can put in who's played as well as he has?
It's a luxury, and I think it's a tremendous credit. I've mentioned it before, Stu, when we've talked about it. I think Rob's done such a great job. Obviously you got to give Ryan Wendell, Zach Cromer, Brian Allen a ton of credit, but, also Warren, of course, because of what he's done. And it's really cool to see him just continuously work, earn the confidence through his work, not any sort of words. But Rob's also mentorship and guidance, I think, has been, I would imagine that Warren would tell you it's very helpful, but it is a luxury. And I think Warren's played really well in the times that Rob hasn't been able to go in previous games this year.
Regular season, or?
It's hard to say, Nate. I know this. The surgery went well. I think they were really encouraged with some of the specifics, and I'd be a little bit out of my element, getting too granular there. But talking with Dr. Elitros, talking with Reggie, even talking with Q today, I don't think it's out of the question if you earn an opportunity to be able to play after the regular season that he could, potentially play. So Don't know about the regular season, but if we're fortunate enough to, continue to, do things that give you a chance to play more than the 17 that you're guaranteed, there's a possibility he'd be back for that.
How much does it help for you, especially with with Higbee being out and having so much talent and diverse talent at tight end room?
It's a big deal, Nick. And Higbee's been such a glue guy for us. His presence, his charisma, his production, his overall just energy is something that is really hard to replicate or ever replace, but it is a luxury, and I think, Scooter Huff's done a great job of really developing that room. Higgs has had a tremendous influence on those guys. It's really cool to see how far and how much growth you've seen from Colby, from Davis, and you continue to see from Terrance Ferguson. So do feel really fortunate to have good depth in that room.
With Quentin, he's been such a can't get him off the field type of guy for you guys the last 2 years. How tough were just the conversations with him over the last couple of days as he kind of came around to this reality?
Well, I'll tell you, and you guys have talked to him, he's about as impressive of a human with his mental toughness, his ability to acknowledge that he's disappointed. But, the thing that Q's one of those guys that when you sit there and you talk to him, you're like, man, I wish I was like that. Because his mindset is, man, I'm just grateful it's not anything in my lower half and I can still walk around. And, because it's his left elbow and he can throw the ball around. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? But that's who he is. Even when I spoke with him after the game, he was going to get the MRI scans, and they had a premonition of what it could be, and we thought that for him to come out, it's probably something that's going to be significant. So we had a feeling, and then when things were confirmed after I spoke with you guys on Monday, but his mindset and mentality is incredible. I think there is part of a mental toughness is acknowledging, I'm disappointed, it's a bummer, all right? So I don't want to stay in this space. How do I move forward? How do I surround myself with people that uplift me? How do I make sure I'm not in this alone? And I think there is something to be said for those temporary milestones as you start to gain progress, getting closer towards a return. And he's a special guy. His perspective is something, sometimes when I think about complaining about stuff, he's a good reminder of how to handle things.
Josh Wallace, the guy that you look at to fill that spot, or Roger?
Yeah, I thought he did a good. I think it's something that we'll continue to evaluate throughout the course of the week. What I will say about Josh Nate is he did a great job the other day. Came in, played almost 30 snaps, and really that's been consistent with Josh Wallace. He's a guy that can play so many different roles. He's so smart. He's got great instincts, great overall awareness, great physical and mental toughness. And I thought against an excellent outfit, he came in and really didn't miss a beat. And his ability to communicate, to understand big picture-wise, not exclusive to one spot, but the concept of everything that we're trying to get done, specifically on the back end, is a tremendous credit. Roger's a guy that we've been working, and there's a possibility of that. And so Aubrey does such a great job of being able to get those guys ready along with Coach Beek. And, this week will be really important, for those two guys in particular.
Can you walk me through what it was like getting him ready in those 48 hours for that Thursday night football
Yeah,
game?
we've talked about this a lot now, haven't we? You writing another article about this? So here's what I would say. I'm always a little probably too long-winded. Incredible testament to him, to Liam, to Zach, with the amount of information that he could digest in a short amount of time. I think there's also a credit to his teammates. You think about even something last week when somebody called me, that I think is a local writer for the Bucs that Artis had me talk to, and I can remember, they brought up that Brian Allen is telling him what the clock mechanism is in terms of the cadence, and you could see that on the TV copy. But he's a fun guy to be around, obviously. I think when you look at it, with the two quarterbacks, we feel so fortunate to have Matthew. Obviously, I know Tampa feels that way about Baker, but you got two guys that elevate the people that they're around, instill a belief, which I think is some of the most powerful things that you can offer as a quarterback, with the way that you lead and the way that you compete that's authentic to you. And I think Baker's always done that throughout his career. Matthew's always done that, but what he did was he was himself. And I think when you look back on it, I don't know that many people are surprised, but it's an impressive feat. That's a real testament to his, competitiveness, but also his mental capacity to be able to handle and absorb so much information in a short amount of time.
That's the amount of learning he had to do in that time. Hard for any player, but what's even harder about the quarterback?
There's just so many. I think, you tried to make it as similar or like as what he's done, but he did a great job. What's asked of that position in general, you better be able to operate above the neck, and he certainly did that in a very impressive fashion.
Matthew, the news that Tyler and Rob are going on injured reserve, like what are the kind of the steps this week in terms of moving forward as an offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously unfortunate for those guys. They're such great players, good guys in our locker room, leaders. That's tough, but it's next man up. It's the NFL. That's what we have to do. We understand that's part of the game. It's part of the game that we all dislike. But we're going to have to move forward with the guys that we do have available. From the tight end standpoint, a lot of those guys have gotten a ton of experience already. So feel good there. And then Warren's played, a decent amount of snaps this year as well, too. So both those guys are obviously big-time leaders and catalysts on our team and our offense. But we'll just move on with the guys that we have forward, or move forward with the guys that we have. And then, hopefully those guys can heal up and be ready to go at some point.
What kind of opportunity is this? What kind of opportunity is this for Terrance?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been rotating in and out of the game, at the same regularity. They're trying to keep those guys fresh as best they can. We have 4 of them, obviously now 3 that still feel really comfortable with all those guys being in the game. So I think it'll be a good opportunity really for all of them.
With this Sunday being the Aaron Donald celebration game, just when you think about his legacy and impact on this franchise, and especially your guys' time together as teammates, just what sticks out to you the most?
Oh, man. Obviously on the football field, he was just as dominant as you could be. Whether that was practice or in games, he forced the hand of the offense more than any player probably I've ever played against or really with, which was, incredible to be around. Great teammate, great energy to be around, a guy that brought it every single day, and off the field, just a class human being that represents all that's right with the NFL. And I was very lucky to spend time with him on the same field and do some special stuff, watching him do his thing. So he's an all-time great.
What have you seen from Tampa's defense that's be challenging?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Todd Bowles defense. I think they're really well coached. They do a really nice job. He's been doing it for a long time. He understands what he wants to do, how he wants to attack offenses. I think their front is big and physical. A couple guys on the edge that are rushing the passer at a high clip. Their backer's been doing it for a while. Davante has, and just really smart back end when you look at it. They do a lot of different stuff. They ask them to do a lot of different stuff, and I think they do a really nice job in the back end, mixing up looks on you, making it difficult on the quarterback, and being aggressive in nature.
In a game, not necessarily this year, but in not getting a roughing the passer called, what is your mindset about whether it's worth to complain or ask about a flag, and have you seen any success from doing that?
I mean, not really, just because after the fact, they're not going to oh yeah, you're right, and drop it. Sometimes when it's late, you have a little conversation, but it's move on to the next play. Sometimes whether I understand it's probably difficult to see a lot of times. Do you get hit in the face? Do you not? There was one earlier this year, got grabbed in the face mask, and got pulled, to the side trying to throw a ball over the middle, and just made him aware of it. Hey, got me there, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen again the whole rest of the game, so you don't know. But just trying to, if I see something, just try to make those guys aware. And a lot of the times they're understanding and they're trying to do their best out there.
You had a big moment against the Buccaneers in the playoffs several years ago. What do you recall about that play that went the long pass to Cooper?
Yeah, a lot of it. I can kind of put myself right back in there in the moment, to be honest with you, and see what I saw in the moment. Obviously a huge play, great play by Cooper the play before to get out of bounds, to stop the clock, give us a chance at that play. And then Sean did a great job of kind of jumping the ball at that point, keeping the pressure on him, not letting him huddle up and get all organized, and then recognized it as I caught the snap kind of, and in a split second kind of realized that the best route versus that coverage was probably the one that never gets thrown. But Coops had a great angle. I put it into a spot, and he made a great play.
Talked after the game on Sunday about how you emphasize the stakes before the 4th downs during that game. How do you choose your moments for when to deliver a little extra message in the huddle?
Yeah, I just trust my gut on those things. 4th down's, pretty easy, obvious moment to, push the fellas. But they do such a great job. They understand. All these guys know, what's at stake every time we go out there with every single play. All of them matter. We happen to have some that were, 4th downs. We'd love to convert them on 3rd down, frankly. But, if there's opportunities where I feel my voice can, add some input or help us get to where we need to go, I'll do it.
Lesson you learned about running a huddle?
I don't know that I've ever really had advice about it, to be honest with you. I just got in there and tried to be myself as much as I possibly can. I love to compete. I love to, be in that huddle. It's a special thing that not a lot of people get to experience. But advice-wise, no. As long as you know what you're doing, and can relay it to those guys in a clean manner, then good things happen.
Your teammates talk about you being very calm in those moments. Is that just how you are naturally, or is that you saying, I need to be calm because I'm the leader here?
No, I don't actively think about being calm. I think that's just who I am. Played the position for a long time, but in other sports probably competed and have a similar temperament no matter what I'm doing. Doesn't mean that just because I'm not yelling and screaming doesn't mean that I'm not giving it everything I got, but that's just how I am.
Spend any time with Baker when he was here, and what's your impression of just his journey throughout his career?
Yeah, I did. Obviously, I was around. I was rehabbing some stuff at the time, but was really impressed with, obviously the physical abilities there. That's why you get picked where you get picked. But, his ability to come in and play, pretty darn well on a shortened timeline was really awesome. Gave us a spark that season. He's a great human being. I've played some golf with him in the off seasons. Really enjoy being around him. You can tell why his teammates love being around him. He's just a great guy and obviously a heck of a football player. He's been through a lot, and come out the other side playing about as good a ball as anybody, and always pulling for him to have success, as I am most of the guys in the league. Man, just want those guys to go out there and play well, and he's done a nice job.
Golf.
It wasn't mano-a-mano. We were just enjoying our time, but he's a pretty good player. I'm not gonna lie. He swings it lefty, but he's a good player. Yeah, I mean, I can't get mad. You get mad at golf, you got something wrong. I'm not working hard enough at it to be good. Cool.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was fine. Yeah, I just played bad. That hadn't have nothing to do with it. Yeah, it was completely separate from the injury.
But so when you haven't had many games like that, I imagine.
Yeah, not like that. No.
Well, I mean, as long as you've been playing.
Yeah.
How? I know you guys talk about just flushing it, and moving on. But is that difficult for you to just kind of get past it that quickly?
It's always difficult for me. I mean, I like to think I can move on and continue to play football, obviously, but just having a standard that I do for myself, I never want to drop passes. I never want to, do anything negative on the field. So anytime especially when it comes to catching the football, like that's something I pride myself on. Obviously reaching 1,000 catches, that doesn't just happen. So, it's something that I beat myself up about, but it's much easier situation like this where you can, like I said after the game, get backed up by the rest of your team, rest of the receivers, and that faith and confidence in me is still there, from the coaching staff and everybody else, which it should be obviously, but just me being the level of player I am and the experience I have, I always want to go out there and light it up. But yeah, it's also one of the weird games where you just didn't get many opportunities. So it's hard to, I could have did that and then went and caught another 6-7 balls and, feel like it's a little bit better about the day. But when you don't end up with that because of possession shortage or whatever it is, it just feels a lot worse than what it, maybe actually was. So I know it looked bad, but it feels worse for me than what it looked like for you, for sure.
Does that feel like, 1,000 catches is a big number?
Yeah.
When you think back on it, does it seem like that's a lot of mileage, or does it seem like it was yesterday you were catching first or second?
I mean, it's a big number for sure, but it does kind of feel like it was just yesterday where I just kind of got here and, I still remember my 500th, which was a touchdown against the Bears. So, and I felt like that was crazy when it happened. I was like 500 grabs in this league is, I'm thinking of all the people that have played and how many have even done that at that point. So that was, that meant a lot to me reaching that milestone. So to double that and to still be playing and playing at a high level, I'm blessed. Yeah. Now that you've had some time to reflect, is there anything that stands out to you about that achievement? I mean, like I said, I don't know how many people have done it on a touchdown specifically. So to be able to do that and then to get embraced by the whole team like that, get acknowledged after the game where I'm happy we won, but still pissed off that, I didn't, contribute the way that I'm used to being able to do. It definitely made me feel better. I was able to sleep better at night knowing that we, at least caught a touchdown while playing that bad. There's something to be said about that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, especially in a situation where you win the game, it's always good. Sometimes you come back from a loss and you want to play quickly too, but I think for us, it's not going to be a whole lot of tape to watch in between. We can kind of go off of what we've seen last. They're not going to have, some completely different roster where, half the team is different. There's been times where I played teams and then, they get, smacked by injuries or whatever it is. And, yeah, it'll be different, obviously, being on the road, but it'll be a little bit more alike any other situation, I guess, that we have divisional games this year. I mean, just honestly, we were on the way back. Just I was sitting next to him in the sprinter, and that's just my place where I come back to center. They don't care if I scored or if half the time they just want to go and just go down on the field before the game. They get excited seeing people embrace me. My daughter's now my oldest is starting to understand a little bit what's going on. So it's just cool to have my family a part of the whole thing. So having my boy is a little bit of a different feeling now, and I did have my oldest at the time when I got to 500. So I took a picture with her at that time holding the ball. So just wanted to do it with my boy this time. Yeah, man. I mean, having depth in this league is what it's about. That way, you don't end up with situations where you lose a guy and now your whole season is potentially different. So, we got a bunch of tight ends, a bunch of receivers, and I think that's what makes this team great. Is obviously the one deep is amazing, but you can pluck me out and put Kanate in there, and he can go do his thing and make you pay. And maybe not on paper you won't look at it that way, but then when you look back at the rest of the game, looking at the details, the run blocking, the run after catch, all of that stuff, we can still find a way to make up for for a loss of here and there. Same with when Puka went down, go out to London and getting 13 personnel, and a star was born. So it's a good feeling knowing that we can just kind of plug and play.